The air in the house felt different when Melissa came back. It wasn't just the smell of lavender and whatever fancy oils they use at that spa she'd been raving about for weeks. It was a change in her, an almost radiant quality. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes sparkled with an energy that hadn't been there in months. It was as if she'd been plugged into a socket, recharged with something I couldn't quite name, but suspected I didn't want to know. "How was it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral as she floated past me, humming a little tune I didn't recognize. "Oh, it was divine, Colton. Absolutely divine," she said, tossing her purse onto the kitchen counter with a practiced flick. "They have this facial massage. I swear it took 10 years off my face. You should try it sometime." I watched her, my eyes narrowing. 10 years off her face, or 10 years of guilt wiped clean. I'd been living with a creeping suspicion for a while now, a cold, not a dread that had started small, but had grown into a goring monster in my gut. The late nights at work, the whispered phone calls, the way she flinched when I touched her lately. It all pointed to something I didn't want to acknowledge. So I'd done the only thing I could. I hired a private investigator. His report was a punch to the stomach. Pictures, dates, times, all laid out in gruesome detail. The man wasn't even someone I knew. Some younger guy who worked at the gym, apparently. The kind of guy Melissa probably thought made her feel young again. I'd spent the last few days since receiving that report carefully curating my response, trying to channel my rage into something productive. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wanted her to understand, to feel the precise sting of betrayal that I felt. "I'm glad you had fun," I said, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. "I actually made us dinner." She seemed surprised. Usually I was the one ordering takeout. "Oh, that's sweet," she said, her voice dripping with insincerity. "What did you make?" I gestured toward the dining room, where the table was set with our best china and silver. I had gone all out. Her favorite flowers in the center, candles flickering, the whole 9 yards. She gasped as she saw it, her eyes widening. "Colton, this is beautiful," she said, a soft, almost apologetic tone creeping into her voice. For a moment, I almost believed she was sorry. Almost. "Come sit," I said, pulling out her chair for her. She settled into her seat, looking around with a strange mixture of wonder and apprehension. The only dish on the table was covered with a silver cloche. "I made something special just for you," I said, my voice tight, each word carefully enunciated. I lifted the cloche with a flourish. Underneath wasn't a gourmet meal. It wasn't even food. It was an investigator's report, spread out neatly on a large platter. The photos were strategically placed on top, her and the other man in various states of embrace, like a grotesque collage of her deception. The color drained from her face. She stared at the evidence, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Her manicured hand flew to her mouth. What is this?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "It's a summary of your spa day, Melissa," I said, my voice calm but laced with an undercurrent of steel I'd never displayed before. "Or should I say your gym day? You know, the one where you worked out so intensely with that personal trainer of yours." Her knees buckled. She actually sank down onto the floor, her legs crumpling beneath her as if her bones had turned to jelly. She reached out to me, her eyes wide with terror. "Colton, please, it's not what it looks like," she pleaded. "You don't understand." "Oh, I think I understand perfectly," I said, my voice cold. "I understand that you've been lying to me for months, that you've been sleeping with another man while I was here, working my ass off to provide for you. I understand that you are a complete and utter fraud." Tears streamed down her face, leaving black streaks of mascara in their wake. She was a mess, a pathetic, broken thing. And for a fleeting second, I almost felt a pang of pity. But it quickly morphed back into a burning, righteous fury. "I'm so sorry, Colton. So sorry," she sobbed, crawling toward me on her knees. "I don't know what I was thinking. Please forgive me." I stood up, towering over her. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head, and now that it was here, I felt oddly detached, like I was watching a play unfold. "Forgive you?" I said, my voice dripping with disdain. "You think an apology is going to make this right? You think you can just say sorry and everything will go back to normal? This isn't a TV show, Melissa. This is real life. And you just destroyed everything we had. I walked to the living room and picked up a file from the coffee table. I've already spoken to my lawyer. I told her, my voice steady. I filed for divorce. You will be served tomorrow. I want you out of this house by the end of the week. I've already packed a few of your things. Her sobs turned into full-blown wails, her body shaking uncontrollably. She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. But where will I go? That's not my problem anymore, I said, turning away from her. You should have thought about that before you decided to betray me. She continued to cry, but I didn't look back at her. I went into the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of whiskey, and poured myself a generous drink. As I stood there, watching her through the archway, sobbing on the floor next to the dining table, I thought, I don't feel anything anymore. The rage, the pain, it was all gone, leaving behind a strange kind of numbness. It was a hollow victory, I knew, but it was a victory nonetheless. She had come home glowing, thinking she had gotten away with it. Instead, she was now in free fall, the world as she knew it crashing down around her, and she had no one to blame but herself. I took a long sip of whiskey and walked toward the bedroom, not daring to look at her again. Her sobs echoed through the house as I closed the bedroom door behind me. They were the last sound I heard of our marriage.